You don't want this to happen to you. Mr. Chavez was a respected educator, school principal, and then he was afflicted with dementia. And while in a full-time care facility, he developed bed sores that almost killed him. His wife told me about the bed sores.
And he had to be hospitalized, and they had to do surgery twice because the infection had gotten into the bone.
It's all because of the bed sore. It got infected and it spread. And the care facility just messed up. First he got the bed sore, then they didn't care for him properly. In fact, the infection will be with him as long as he lives.
At the facility where he was, they apparently were not turning him or something, and they had been instructed to, have him to get up and move around, but he was not. They were not doing that. So as a result of that, the bed sore came about.
So he was supposed to get certain care, which you expected, turned in the bed, so that the bed sores don't develop.
Exactly.
And this is a problem we hear about, that if when people are bedridden, they need to be turned.
Exactly.
And the facility should have turned him. He should have gotten better care.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
What's even worse is that at the original facility, the caregivers failed to tell doctors exactly what Mr. Chavez's condition was. And when a doctor did tell the facility about the bed sores and what to do about them, the staff failed to follow what the doctor advised them to do. Elder law attorney Mary Lockington took on their case.
He was in the facility less than 3 weeks when he sustained the beginnings of a bed sore. The doctor knew, ordered home health care. They continued to fail to turn him appropriately and take the pressure off of it. And despite the fact that a home health specialist came in to take care of it, it went from a stage 0 to a stage 3 in less than 3 weeks.
Now that means it's serious.
Yes, it was serious. It had already gotten into the bone, and so his bones will be infected, and he has sepsis basically for the rest of his life. And what happens is the skin over the top will heal, but because the infection's already in his system, there's no way to get it out.
How many times did they not turn him, or did not turn him enough to create an injury like that?
It most likely days, that he wasn't turned enough. And a lot of these facilities put the person, take them out of bed, put them in a wheelchair, put them to a corner, and let them sit there for hours and hours on end.
And that's how these bed sores happen?
Yes, yes.
And then it just gets worse because no one notices or takes care after they're noticed.
Correct. And in this particular instance, the doctor knew of the bed sore, but he wasn't getting good information. Had he been getting good information, he would have ordered a different course. And then he would not have gotten a stage 3 bed sore and had to have had surgery.
So the staff lied?
Yes. And the paperwork that we have shows that the administrator wasn't even asking the wound care specialist about what's going on, what does she need to do. She didn't even know the status of the bed sore when he came back from the hospital the first time. So that she was just pulling the sheets over her head and saying, I have no responsibility.
So in addition to having dementia, this poor gentleman also has an infection in his body that's going to eat away at him from the inside.
Yes, absolutely.
I was unaware of all the medical procedures that would take place, and I was putting my trust and care in everyone that was medically inclined more so than I was.
So they gave you the assurance that he would get the right care.
The best, 100%, for me not to worry.
They told you not to worry.
Don't worry about it, Miss Chavez. We have a person, and her name is the name that they gave me, and it was like, okay, she does this, she's wonderful, she takes care of it, and don't have to worry about it. And I said, well, if it's anything like a bed sore, what I've heard in the past, those are things that need to be seen right away. And they said, well, no, we have this expert. She will make sure that everything is taken care of. Don't worry. I was confident in knowing that they were medically
They misled
compliant.
you.
Totally.
And they lied.
And then it was pretty much like, well, you knew. I didn't know. I don't know what a stage 1, 2, 3, 4, I don't know what it looks like, But I knew he had to undergo surgery twice.
Because you don't want this to happen to you or to a loved one, Mary Lockington gave me some tips.
Well, as a family member, you need to be at the facility, whether it's a board and care or a skilled nursing facility. You need to be asking to see their turn logs because they have to log all of this. You need to make sure that they're being turned, and if possible, do a skin check yourself. If you see any redness, make the facility aware, make your doctor aware so they can prescribe wound care because they are preventable if there's proper care given.
And what did you do legally for this family? What happened?
Well, there's a facility that's licensed by the state of California, and so that particular entity was sued along with the two individuals, the administrator and the caregiver, and also the wound care specialist, because they work hand in hand. The wound care specialist is supposed to educate the facility to make sure that he's being turned when she's not there, and none of those things happened.
So there are a lot of people here who are liable.
Yes, multiple levels.
The lawsuit covers many things.
In cases like this, as you see, Mr. Chavez is still alive. He gets his pain and suffering damages. He gets his medical costs for the medical bills. He gets any future pain and suffering because that occurred. He had to have extensive wound care for approximately a year and a half for that particular wound. And there's a value to that. That he was in a lot of pain and he needs to be reimbursed for that.
If you have a loved one in a nursing home or a care facility, it's important that you become alert. Mary Lockington told me about the possible problems with care in a facility.
They're overworked and underpaid and don't have proper education.
What we're talking about here is that professionals didn't do their job or weren't trained properly and there wasn't the oversight.
Correct. And there's...
Could anything else go wrong?
No, he could fall also because they need to make sure that he's turned, and that happens a lot too, is when they're turning them, they fall off the bed and then they injure a shoulder or a hip. And so they really are these individuals, especially individuals that have diminished capacity, they really need, to be taken care of with kid gloves because they can't speak up for themselves. They can't say they're in pain or say they're thirsty. And so these for-profit institutions need to really rethink how they're taking care of the elders.
It sounds like it was a very expensive mistake on the part of the facility.
It was. I would say so. Not now being more aware of what happened then and what I know now, yes. Yes, a 2-hour turning probably, I'm sure, would have prevented this. I mean, if you're in a bedridden position, you do have to turn them every 2 hours, at least. If they can't get water, you have to give them water. And if not, it causes dehydration. So that's basically where we are.
Call the Lockington Law Group for a free consultation to evaluate if you have a valid case involving elder abuse. 855-562-5529.